Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of Progressively Yours Health and Wellness Podcast. I am your co host, Dr. Imani Ma'at, and I am here with.
I am the other co-host, Jay Bernard Kine Sr., and we are so delighted that you are with us this afternoon, this evening, I should say. It's 8 o'clock. So thank you. Thank you very much. Um, as is our ritual or tradition for the show, we like to always begin with our spiritual opening. And tonight I'm in my office, so I will use the gong bowl to start our show. We do so as not as a religious practice, but as a spiritual practice, as we welcome the ancestors to clear the energy, so that as you join in with us, you will be filled not only in the words that you will hear from our special guest tonight about health and wellness regarding diet and food, but also on a spiritual journey from looking inside yourself. And this is a way that we begin by means of inviting the ancestors to be with us. So, if you wish to participate, I'd like to invite you to close your eyes. And if you're sitting or standing, give a moment pause. And I want to invite you to take 3 cleansing breaths through your nose, in and out, with your exhale a little longer than your inhalation. And as you exhale, just give yourself permission to release any distractions in your mind. Notice your body, any sensations, and any ideals or ideas that you want to bring into discussion tonight. Let them begin to flow through you at this time. We welcome the spirit of the ancestors in this space and place at this appointed time to join in with us as we offer ourselves to their presence. A cloud of witnesses to join us and to protect the sacred spaces where you are, where we are, so that we might take in the information into our hearts, feed our spirits, so that we might enhance the wellness of our body, of our mind, and of our spirit. It is for the ancestors who paid a heavy price journey full of suffering and grace that we have this opportunity. So therefore, we come together now. It is indeed for the ancestors. Ashe, Namaste, Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Bernard. That always helps me to get in the right frame of mind for our shows, which always turn out to be wonderful. I have a guest in the room with me who heard your voice, and she just sort of barged in, even though I had the door closed. And so it's kind of funny. She hears your voice, and your doggy wants to be close to you. So I like to do the next part after Bernard does his opening with either an affirmation or something positive to leave you with or have you think about before we get into our main discussion and topic. So I've been sharing a little bit from the Four Agreements. It's a book by Don Miguel Ruiz. And these four agreements are they're so easy, but they're also so very powerful. The second agreement, last week we covered being impeccable with your word. And I really had to challenge myself with that one, and got challenged. When you say you're going to follow what you say, you get tested. So I've been tested a couple times over this past week, and I've just had to kind of laugh at myself and follow what I said I was going to do or not do. So the second agreement is don't take anything personally. Personal importance or taking things personally is the maximum expression of selfishness because we make the assumption that everything is about me. And during this period of our education or our domestication, if you will, we learn to take everything personally. We think we are responsible for everything. Me, always me. Nothing other people do is because of you, it is because of themselves. All people live their own dream in their own mind. They're in a completely different world from the one you live in. Taking things personally makes you easy prey for those predators who try to send you emotional poison. They can hook you easily with one little opinion and feed you all their emotional garbage. When you take it personally, you eat it up, and now it becomes your garbage. But if you don't take it personally, you are immune to their poison. You will not eat it. Immunity to emotional poison is the gift of this agreement. And I
Hmm.
love this one because, so often we get busy and we don't necessarily reach out to all of our friends and see how they're doing. And they call you and they say, well, I haven't heard from you in so long. And are you mad at me or are you upset with me? And I'm like, nope, what I'm going through has nothing to do with you. And I'm sorry you haven't heard from me, but I've had a lot of stuff going on in my life in the past year. And so I don't mean to be seeming like I'm ignoring you, but I really, people make things about themselves and it has nothing to do with themselves. So this is a really good, important agreement, because it's not always about you. And we need to think of that as people are going through things, what their view of the world and what they're going through has nothing to do with you. And I think that's a good thing for us to be aware of. So moving on, we are so excited to have Mr. Mark Blake back with us. Mark Blake, the snake in his DJ role. But this is not about the DJ role tonight, but I just love the fact that he's can chameleon like that. He's like that live and raw food expert and counts and coach and fasting mentor for folks during the day. And then at night, he slips into this other DJ thing, which is so cool. So, so I really like that. And he's from New York, so he sounds right, because I'm from New York. So, anyway, a little bit about Mark. He is a living example of change, growth, intimacy, and transformation. He is an
Hmm.
active, let me say that word again. He is an active raw vegan, nutritional consultant, fasting coach, group, solo, and family event planner. He's a DJ, as I mentioned. He's an avid traveler. He's always somewhere else in the world, usually on the continent, which I just think is so wonderful. And he's also a father. He's actively sharing simple, healthy, rewarding living tips. He's at home, he's at work, when he's traveling, he's consistent. And that's one thing I really like about him. He's a graduate of the Ann Wigmore Hippocrates Institute, the Gary Null Anti Aging Program, and he's a certified raw vegan chef. And as I indicated, he's also a house music festival organizer. He's committed to having a big impact while leaving friendly footprints. So, with that, I'm going to like to introduce Mr. Mark Blake. Come on and join us.
Uh, Thank you.
Welcome, Mark.
Thank you. The introduction sounds more exciting. Uh, Maybe I'm actually living it, but that's great. I'm glad to be back, and um, I appreciate your giving me this opportunity to share me
Oh,
with.
absolutely. You were on our first show, and I guess some
Okay.
people who are listening now don't realize on our opening show back in whenever we opened, May, June. Um, Mark was on our first panel of. We had several guests on just to give them a little tease of what was to come. So we
Hmm.
always knew we were going to have him back, and we're just happy that you accepted the invitation to
Yes.
be
Yes.
back with us, Mark, because you have so much to share. Tell us a little bit about your work, who you are, the fast that you do. I didn't realize you were on a fast right now. I have not been following social media as closely as I usually do.
Okay.
So tell us about that.
Oh. Yeah, we're on a 30-day fast. It started, or it could be called the feast, because the theme of this is just the fruits. So it started October 1st, and that's to October 30th. But people can join, if they want to now. And I've picked the fruits because I've been doing for 8 years a plant-based fast, and people have different options. But over the years, I've found the more simpler it is, the more people succeed in it. When I did the raw vegan or just the vegan, um, the theme of it was that most people seemed about eating elaborate meals and like stuff like that. But, you know, halfway through they're back eating other stuff because there was no detachment. There was still a lot of preoccupation with eating, which, the fasting or the feasting, it was to get us more in balance with just eating what's required. We do 30 days of fruit. It's just sweet, watery, or juicy fruit, preferably with seeds. And then the only thing we drink is fresh coconut water, um, which this is what the fresh coconut water container looks like. For your, in case you didn't know what the container looks like. So if you see that Walmart, go ahead and pick that up. And distilled water. And distilled water you can have. When I kind of recommend, put some key lime in it. A few fruitarians and other told me about that, putting the key limes to kind of add some electricity. It's similar to rainwater, but it doesn't have electricity still, as in distill.
Mhm.
So that gives it some electricity and makes it better for the body to absorb it. So that's the fast. And what's good about it is, one is powerful. It's the power of fruits is amazing. Also, it's simple. You don't need appliances. You can travel. There's plenty of fruits that don't have to be refrigerated all the time. Apples, oranges, and mangoes, and different things like that. So you can fit it into your regular thing, but also just the simplicity allows the body to really work. And I'm more about how do we nourish ourselves without interfering with the body's natural healing and detoxing and maintenance process. So it's not what can I take to make this happen. It's how do I nourish myself and let what's going to happen happen, and don't get in the way with the body's own healing process. So this is a good way to do that. And there's another fellow Orville that does it, and I, so watching him and then doing my own experiments and learning. So I like this. The last one we did was fruit or um, fruit or green juice, one of the two. So this one, I just decided the green juice. I mean, just the fruit. I got a lot of feedback from people that have done a lot of fasting, and all different, and they would just talked about how powerful it is. So that's what I'm working on now, as far as in the fasting group, and then doing wellness, one-on-one wellness coaching, and developing the Seymour's business and the DJing. And I've done a lot of events, but I'm looking for in this coming year to focus more on not so many events, but just DJing at events and private things, so I could spend that time developing my craft and really incorporating it all together, so that maybe while I'm in the continent, like when I was in Tanzania, we did some 70s, 80s, and with the new school, the the Afro beats with the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s. So we had the younger folks and the older folks and the diaspora and the native Tanzanians there all together. So I want to do more like that with the DJing, but then also at the same time do some wellness workshops, do some retreats, continue to travel. There's a lot for me to explore in the coming year. I definitely want to get to South Africa, uh, and I found out a few years ago my grandfather's. I want to meet with people there in Egypt, and I got some stuff on the West Coast because people in Tanzania and Kenya have been telling me, "You're from West Africa. You need to go see your people." And the people I know from Ghana and Cameroon. I met a guy yesterday, fixed my computer screen so I can do this easily. And Sierra Leone, and I don't see that I look like them. And I asked him, he says, "No, you're like the mountain people."
Interesting.
And that's what I like the most. So
Uh-huh.
that's what I'm doing. I'm kind of maneuvering around and sorting things out, and sharing who I am and the gifts that I'm supposed
Yeah.
to deliver in my time on the planet.
Can you, and that was a nice kind of overview of all that you're doing. Take us back in time and tell us how you started the journey, especially around health and wellness, and why you chose to be who you are and where you are right now in life. Just a little bit.
Okay, wow, yeah. Let's go back. It was a Jimmy Castor record.
Let's
Let's
do
go
that.
back. Let's go way back. So anyway, um, I was very sickly as a child, and with and bad cold or bronchitis 2 or 3 times a year where I missed school, and so that was an ongoing, lots of cavities, loads of mercury fillings, and just a sickly, weak child. Hated vegetables, and but we have vegetables in the can. But love meat, love milk. Back then they didn't have big bowls, so I used to make my cereal in the pot. And and I had a sugar addiction because I would make like Frosted Flakes and put sugar in the Frosted Flakes or sugar in the fruit. So I was already on my way to that journey, and shy kid. And anyway, lo and behold, in my 20s, I got into drugs and addiction, and I got clean at 30 years old in 1989. And when I got clean, a lot of life journeys, but one of the things that happened is I was eating consistently. I wasn't like out for 3 days on a run, and then so that was my earlier fasting. During the addiction, I used to do 3 and 4 day fasts from life.
Wow.
But once I started eating, I ate the things that signified that you're doing good. So the best cuts of meat and the Minute Maid juices, all of those, and things I thought was healthy, like the 2% milk and the wheat bread and the peanut butter and the jelly and like all of these things, and the butter instead of margarine. And my body just started deteriorating really quick. And it already was. Like I started getting white patches in my hair in my 20s, in my middle 20s. And in my 30s, I already had receding hairline, which I don't have anymore. But these are things that were in my 30s, and it continued to get worse, and had stagnant liver, early stages of cirrhosis from the drugs and the alcohol, pre-diabetes. I wore glasses, and just really feeling old and looking old. And this was in my 30s, and doctors constantly telling me that people age differently. But I knew, some of my buddies that were going bald before me, and I had like passed them. So I said something something's not right. And I didn't picture myself as being like 80 or 90 and like not able to manage myself. But the way I was feeling in my 30s, I said, by the time I'm 50, I'll look like I'm 80. And my friend got me this book, Back to Eden by Jethro Kloss, for my 35th birthday. Artie, my buddy Artie. And I didn't say it to him, but I looked at him and like, what the hell are you giving me this for? This is like for hippies. Like what? Like if you don't know what to get, cash. You can't go wrong with cash. Like what is this here you give it to me?
Right.
But I showed like some pseudo gratitude and appreciation. And that book sat on the shelf for 4 years.
Wow.
I know it's just like it was just
4 years.
I didn't know about vegan. I just knew vegetarian, but that was like Bill Walton, hippies, Dick Gregory, the people that I was already shy and insecure. I wasn't going to like go at all. So anyway, things continue to get worse, and my doctor told me I needed to stop doing the floors because I was sanding wood floors because I had chronic rhinitis, and my chiropractor said I had chronic arthritis in the back. And so around the time I was 39, I was going to the chiropractor 3 or 4 times a week with back pains and getting adjustments and really pushing through a lot of pain, but wouldn't take the pain medicine. I did, because of with the addiction history.
Mm-hmm.
And the Dr. Tim, he came from a seminar. He said, let's just try 3 weeks of no dairy. And he said, I read that like 95% of African American babies are allergic to dairy, and 100% of adults are allergic to dairies. And so he gave me this thing, and he says, even though they may have explored the cold climates first, but they didn't migrate as long as like the other people who were accustomed to the dairy. So we did 3 weeks of no dairy. And after 7 years of chiropractic visit, the back pain was gone in 3 weeks. So at least it opened up the idea that food could trigger something, but I still wasn't like completely sold, and I was still making my adjustments. Like I said, went from 2% to 1% milk, and then before all of this, so then it was like no dairy, and I got to find out everything that was dairy, casein, low fat, whey, all of these things. And then I did this. Picked up that book, the Jethro, and it like made sense. Like it was like, okay, I don't know, it just made sense. And then at the time I started listening to Gary Knoll for his political stuff. So social, and I was in that state where I liked the yelling and the screaming, you Republicans, you damn Democrats. So that was good for me. But I listened to his health show, and he had this book, 1 Year to Change Your Diet. And I bought it, and it was like every 2 weeks you'd add something healthy and take away something unhealthy.
Wow.
So I did that. So dairy, of course, was already the first thing. And then I think I took out sugar and did honey, which I don't eat honey now, but that was during that phase. And then green tea instead of coffee. And it was kind of like that. And then at the end of a year, I was a pescatarian. I felt incredible. I was like, I couldn't believe how well I felt. Now, I didn't know about vegan, but after 6 months as a pescatarian, I just lost the taste for fish.
So Mark, I want to interject because I have there's a comment on the question I want to ask. But I want to go back. Could you share, before I share the question from the audience, could you share with the audience the difference between vegan and vegetarian? And is one more healthy than the other?
Okay, so the short of it, like in technicality, in practice, a healthy vegan is the healthiest. But in terms of application, the one you can maintain is the healthiest.
Okay.
So so if being vegan means every month you're binging on McDonald's, then you're better off being a consistent vegetarian. So that, and I do that with people I coach, because some people, most of the people I come with want to become a raw vegan. Say about 90% of the people that come to me for coaching, and only half of them are even ready to become vegans, let alone raw vegans. So I try to coach them with something they can maintain, and when they're ready, and that's between them and their spirit, when they're ready to move on, it's on. So vegan is the omission of any animal products.
Okay.
So that includes honey and, all of those things. So, and vegetarian, there's so many types. There's octo, where you just eat eggs or you eat milk, or, so we have this little joke, because in the first few years I'd have my people of color, they would say, vegetarian, I just eat chicken and fish. So we call those black. It's just a little joke, but so vegan is plant. So that's it. So vegan is plant, and that's what we're designed to eat. Our digestive and all of that is our teeth. Everything is designed for that, and our closest in the primate family, that's basically what they eat, and also the strongest land animals are plant-based.
Plant-based. Thank you. So I'm curious, on a personal note, as your health began to shift for the better, what did your internal numbers show? I mean, when you went to doctors and they did lab work, what showed up for the better as you became more and more raw vegan?
Okay, well, the first, because I would always get like double and triple testing, because it didn't add up. So I remember when my resting heart rate was 49, and they said, no, that we need to do that, because that's athletes. And I did running, but I wasn't like an Olympic athlete. And my cholesterol, I remember the first time I had it read, it was 98 total. So it was 66 of the good and 40 of the bad. And so they needed to do that again, because that couldn't have been right. And I did that. And then I remember the doctor saying that that's incredible, but doesn't have to be that good. Like, kind of, you could get a little more of the unhealthy. You could add a little meat and some other stuff.
Wow.
So, so that was it. And usually my blood pressure is like 110, 70, 110. It pretty much stays like that. And after maybe about 2 or 3 years as a vegan, I finally got a grip on the low blood, the hypoglycemia, as I got a better understanding of it. So to the point where I can kind of eat what I want.
Yes. One of our listeners asked a question regarding the fast. A coworker, and that is on the screen. A coworker told me this evening that he may have lung cancer. Would this fast help him? Crystal.
I'm going to say yes, it will. The fast will help. And in addition to and this is in the fast protocol too, in addition to the fast, the eating part, there's a lot of other things that are essential, like the spiritual work and that kind of healing, because the body's not, even with the best of foods, the body's not going to heal with unresolved. So there's a forgiveness that's like just vital. So yes, it will. And ideally they could get their health practitioner to support them in that. So it does. I've had people with up to stage 3 do these fasts, either the fruit or the green juice. And actually my father passed away, but for 3.5 weeks he followed this protocol and did well and did improvements. He was like on his deathbed, and after 3.5 weeks, he could walk to the bed. But the family decided to go another way, and he lasted 8 days after that. But
It's
it,
hard.
yeah, and he it works, and it's not like this is healing the person is healing.
Healing themselves. Mark, talk a little bit because you said there's some other things, and one of the things that I focus on a lot with myself and other friends ask me about it is the whole thing of cleansing. So you change your diet radically, but you still have a lot of toxins inside of you. So talk a little bit about the importance of cleansing, whether it's I mean, you're cleansing when you're doing a fruit fast, but
Right.
colonics and enemas and things like that to really help, pull out the toxins out of the body.
And ideally, body to allow the body to work itself, and it'll cleanse, and like the fruits will get in there and get that old fecal matter, and it'll break that down, and the fruit syrup will get in those cells and open that up. And ideally, that's how it works. But some of us need some assistance. So a colonic, I like colonic with lemon juice and distilled water to get those blockages. And something, and that depends on where you are. So it doesn't mean you can't. You have to have that to cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
But some people are just in that condition, and especially in the case of some, like what my dad, he was like, after the second week when I had came back and I was working with him, he hadn't been to the bathroom, and one of his arms was paralyzed from a needle they put in improperly at the hospital, and it had been paralyzed since then. So it was like 2 weeks where he couldn't use that. And so the family agreed to let me give him an enema, and I gave him a coffee enema. And within 5 minutes, he could move his arm.
Wow.
And,
That's amazing.
so this the sort of power. So so that's in there. I did a lot of colonics and enemas. Like now, I don't do them because there's not anything
There to clean
really
out.
going on, and I'm also okay with just. If it takes a little longer, it's okay. But that's just like where I am, like my lifestyle. I'm not doing a 9 to 5 where I got to be able to function by Monday. So I tend to, even when I get some disruptions or maybe don't feel so great today, or I come in contact, like when I came back to the States, I took a Bajaj. It was like the little motorcycle with the carriage in the back to the airport. It was like an hour drive, and the roads are dirt, and my nose was like all full of dust. And so I came back, and the sinuses were a mess. And I have remedies, to do that. And I could take some peppermint oil and tea tree oil in the tea and breathe it, and and flush. But for me, it was just okay. Just let it. The body will take care of it. It's nothing impending.
Right. That's good. I mean, I would imagine, the cleaner you are, you don't have to. I mean, I know some other live and raw foodists who do enemas like several times a week, and I guess it's a personal preference.
Yes.
In terms of doing the cleansing, and I do want to say for on your behalf and on behalf of the show, there's nothing that's being said here that's meant to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent anything. This is information sharing and personal experiences, because you can have somebody come back and say, well, you said or he said such and such, and that's like prescribing something, and no, we're not. We're just talking. So just for your protection and ours.
Yeah, and something that I just want to because I did it on the fasting group. I did a video on herbs, and I'm not against herbs. Like they create a reaction or a disruption to create a result. So they so and that's good to alleviate some things, which eventually would be alleviated anyway. Um,
Mhm.
but often, what we do is if we got some to alleviate the symptom, then we keep going with that and we don't get at the cause. And the symptom is really like our spiritual conversation with ourselves saying, hey, we're not really taking that good care of ourselves. Let's step
Hmm.
it up.
Right.
Right.
And symptom treating is like saying, shut up. I don't want to hear it. And our loving self or God or creator, whatever, says in a louder voice, okay, let's do some joint back pain and say, hey, look, we're really not taking care of ourselves. Let's,
Yeah.
so the symptoms are vital. It's a conversation. It's not a punishment. It's a
Mhm.
conversation. If we didn't feel pain when we put our hand on a fire, that wouldn't be love. That wouldn't be an act of love. That pain is an act of love to let us know, hey,
It can
something
hurt us.
is.
Yeah, that's interesting. You would say that is a spiritual conversation that's taking place within the body, and that's a call for us to listen to our body's signals all the time, because it is an expression of love to us, for us, about us, to find ways to transform and heal that which is happening within the body. Is that right?
Yes, 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 yes. And it's the same as externally, like with our relationships. If we have unhealthy patterns, they continue to show up and they get worse and worse, but they're not like, it's not them. It's like we're bringing them to help
Right.
us work on, like they're showing us us.
Yeah.
It's
Everything
like,
is
what is
energy.
it?
Everything is
Yeah,
energy. That's
yeah,
my mantra, and I stick by it. Everything, what we put out, is what we're drawing to ourselves.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. I remember this counselor named John when I was in recovery treatment. He says, he said, in unhealthy relationships, and it doesn't have to be romantic, it could be family dynamics. Everyone in the relationship is unhealthy. So don't think you're the healthy one holding it down. So everyone in the dynamic is to some degree of unhealthiness.
Yes.
Everyone's
Yeah.
contributing to the energy of
Yes.
of
Yeah.
discomfort and unhealthiness. So it's got to be approached, and it also, in terms of family context or people that you're around, everyone has to be doing the work on themselves.
Yes.
It's real frustrating when, um, say only one person there is working and the other is just continuing to go day by day with the same old stuff. So as you try to get better, um, I mean, and it's not a criticism of people around you who aren't working on themselves, but you can feel it. You could feel it's like stale old energy. You're trying to
Yes.
amp it up a
And
little bit
yeah.
to
And they
more
either
positive
adjust to us or they
energy.
adjust away. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's but I for me
we're
personally,
losing you a
I
little bit,
find,
Mark.
say that again.
We were losing you a little bit. Your last comment. Say it again, please.
Okay. It's the people will adjust to our new self. They'll adjust to us or adjust away from us.
Wow,
Mm.
And just
Wow.
allow that. Like, don't take it personally.
personally.
Like in
Personal.
recovery, we call it God doing for us what we couldn't or wouldn't do for ourselves.
That's a
So
powerful statement.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
Mm,
it's like things are working to in our favor for our betterment, uh, but often we don't like how it was brought about. Like how the universe brought about that shift for our betterment. Even
hmm
though we know good and well we wasn't even going to do the shift if we left to our own lives. We're going to drag it out. We're going to walk
We're
forward.
gonna drag it out.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's
So, so
In an attempt to avoid sometimes uh, the pain, the emotional pain or spiritual pain that may come along with it. So we drag it out, thinking that we're avoiding, but we actually are not.
yeah, yeah, and and the pain is not from the path in front of us.
Right.
It's from the bed of nails that we keep backing into that we don't want to leave.
A good way of putting it, Mark.
Yeah,
That's painful.
that's beautiful.
Uh,
That is truly
so
painful. Truly
So,
painful.
Mark, what would you recommend? What would you recommend to the listening audience? Ways I'm going to use the term gradually shift into changing from, let's say, the diet of, I'm going to say, of the world to the vegan diet that you're sharing with us tonight. If they were
okay,
interested
so
in making that shift, how would you recommend they go about starting?
okay, I say the first thing is to create an image that they're willing to commit to every day of locking into of what that looks like of what this
Mm,
transformed person looks like
Mhm.
this body, if it's how you looked in college, and not what you think is possible. What, like, even if you don't think it's possible, say, okay, I know it's not possible, but if it was, how would I have it? And picture that person. So, and I say that because that's the motivation in the tough times. And I like that Gary Knowles takes something out and adds something on. Uh, but
Mhm.
I'm more into like just take an approach of checking things out, not like I can't eat this anymore. Just check some things out. Like just say, okay, I'm not going to do red meat for 2 weeks, and not I can't eat meat no more. But I'm just going to not do it for 2 weeks and just check it out
mm,
and
See how you
see
feel.
how I feel. Like try it on like a hat. You don't have to make a purchase. Just try it on, see how it
Right.
fits,
Mhm.
and then at the end of that time, be willing to have an honest conversation about that.
Right.
So
You
even
know,
if you're going to continue, just be honest and say, I'm going to eat this, although I know I don't feel as well. My bowels are not good, but I'm willing uh, to have that cost for the payoff of feeling good or not going through the resistance. So, like, do those and make some bold ones, and then say, okay, and then I'm going to take this out
mhm.
and uh, do that. And then also try to eliminate as much things that are in packages as possible.
for example.
Whole foods, not things with ingredients, like things
Mhm.
like apple. You know the ingredient. The ingredient is apple.
Right.
You know, and get some fresh stuff and have fun in the kitchen.
Mhm.
Make some stuff. Try some stuff down. And even if you're eating meat, you're still going to be eating fruits and vegetables because the spices are fruits and vegetables. Pepper, basil, oregano. So you're going to be eating plant anyway.
Mhm.
And then every now and then, I like for you eating the meat to eat some meat and don't season it,
Ew.
so you can see what you're eating actually tastes like. Like just
Nasty.
so, so you could see, yeah, what it tastes like.
Mhm.
You know, and I said it because the one of the reasons we don't chew well is because the foods we eat don't have any flavor once the seasoning is gone. So we
Mm.
swallow it.
Mm,
Like when you eat fruit, it gets juicier the more you chew it. You
yeah.
get in a mango and it's like you want to get the seed. You want that seed to look like you shaved it with a razor. You just like
Mhm.
in there
I
because
had one
it's
of those mangoes today. It was so good, and
oh,
I was
yeah,
giving it to my mom. My mom's from Jamaica, and I figure there's certain things that are
yes,
just in her, and she's got dementia. So there are certain things that are just in her being. So I was feeding her the mango, and it was like, I mean, I could just tell she was loving it. It
yeah,
was just such a sweet moment feeding her this natural mango.
yeah.
And there was something you said earlier about, well, you just said it again about taking things out temporarily. In my, I guess in my 30s, yeah, it was in my 30s when I first moved to Atlanta. I was feeling a lot of stiffness in my hands, and I was working and more on the computer than I'd ever been in that particular job. But I had one of the natural MDs, naturopathic MD folks. I know you know him, but I won't call any names on here. I love Dr. Richardson. I'm gonna call his name. Anyway,
Okay.
Dr. Richardson he said, I want you to for 1 week. I think it was just 1 week. He said, I don't want you to eat anything that has a wheat source. So no breads, no pastas. I think I did no rice too. So no breads, no pastas, anything made with wheat, and no rice. Like the major starches that we eat. And after a week, he said, I want you to check in with me and let me know how you feel. All the pain was gone. I was like, dang. And as a Jamaican, you grew up eating rice, and bread all the
Right.
time. And I said, wow, I've got to make some major changes. I mean, so to this day, I don't eat nearly as much. I still eat a little bit of bread. I eat very little rice. And that was a hard change to make. But I felt so much better without the wheat and without the rice in my diet. It's like
Yep.
I had to be honest with myself that it felt better.
We have another question,
I think it said
Brother
we have a
Mark.
question, but I
Yeah,
want
Yeah.
to.
the question. Yeah, go ahead. You started to say. Yeah, that's the question.
Oh,
All about
what are
eating
you what's
according to your blood type.
on your blood type? Okay, so um, gorillas have different blood type. They have like A, B, O. They have different blood types. All gorillas eat the same thing.
Hmm.
Chimpanzee have different blood types. They all eat the same thing. Um, now, in their book, Eating Right for Our Blood Type, they had used Eskimos as an example that because of their blood type and what they eat, um, and just meat, because well, of course that's the only thing near. But but the part that's left out is like their life expectancy is 49 years of age.
Oh.
So so our blood type doesn't change our physiology. It doesn't change our digestive canal. It's designed a certain way. It's not designed based on like the people that are O positive and B and A. They don't have different digestive tracts. They don't have different teeth. The ones that they say should eat meat, they don't have longer incisors and canines. They have the exact same thing. They have the same digestive tract. They have the same gallbladder, the same bile, the same saliva, uh, the same pancreatic acid, the same hydrochloric acid in the stomach, the same length of the small intestine and large intestine. So it's like a fat thing, and you can feel better, but I'm not like in the feel better. I'm into the um, live until I die
Mm.
and not die longer. So the idea is, we're not living longer, we're dying longer.
Mm.
So, and we're not designed like if you're giving the idea, if you go in your backyard or just go in the park, you cannot tell the old birds from the young ones. They don't like stop flying at 65. They fly for their duration. The squirrels are up, the old ones are up getting nuts and jumping and all of that. The only ones that do aging, and I don't mean get older, but aging are like humans and our pets. The rest of the animals live vibrant until that small period, 2 weeks, 6 months, whatever, before it's their time. So that's how we're designed. So I mean, you look, that's just anywhere in nature you see that. Like when the fish is ready to die, it's ready to die. They're floating, and in a day or two they're gone. But they don't go through this like the last quarter of their life. They're swimming slow and they're swimming along until their time is up.
Toya says, what a great point. Animals live for the duration of their lives. And that's the best answer I've ever heard to what about eating for our blood type. That was perfect, Mark. Thank you. So I really appreciate your view on that. And it makes sense. What you said makes sense.
Yeah. And just like one of the things, I think part of how we uh, got in this predicament, I say, as humanity, especially in Western culture and U.S. culture, is um, one, a condition of not taught not to think for ourselves and not do critical thinking. That's one, and then even bigger than that is not listening to our inner voice.
Mm-hmm.
Because like even without knowing anything about what should I eat or don't eat, most of us know there's some things when I eat this, I always kind of feel crappy in the morning the day after I have this,
Mm-hmm.
and not listening to that conversation, or I'm full. I know I had enough to eat. I don't need to get another plate. Like just those small, but when we don't listen to it, we get in the habit of ignoring our spiritual self.
Mm-hmm.
And we are, even though we're physical entities, we are spiritual beings, and we are, like Toya said, so it's not what do I take to give me energy, depleting my energy. But we're energy. You don't need to eat anything to get out the bed. Your energy. We get out. We're energy. So it's not. It's less about what I take and more about what I stop taking
Mm.
to get me where I needed to go. My doctor, you was talking about your first doctor, and my doctor was Dr. Rufus, and I went to him for a holistic psychologist. And I was in a relationship with my son's mom, and it was over, and I just thought I was acting irrational to it because it was, I loved her, but I didn't want to be together. We didn't like each other, but my emotional response didn't seem healthy to me, and I wanted to look at it. So I went to see Dr. Rufus. He was in D.C. And first off, when I seen him, he was like 55, but at in my early 40s, 55 seem old then. Now it doesn't anymore. But like his nails were strong and long, and his skin was a little lighter than me. He looked like one of the Budweiser Kings. Like he looked like that. And I said, man, this guy just looked like, even as a man, saying this guy looks beautiful and strong and clear, and his eyes and everything. And anyway, he's the one that told me I was pre-diabetes, I had stagnant liver, I had parasites. He said I've had them really bad, and I've had them for a long time, and stagnant liver, and a couple other things. And he put me on this protocol, but the protocol was no grains. And he gave me specific fruits: mangoes, berries, cherries, apples. And he said pear had a different kind of sugar, and it didn't affect the blood sugar. And yeah, so no grains. And I was to eat 6 to 8 small meals a day. And I wasn't to wait till I got starving. And I wasn't to eat until I was stuffed. And no more fruit juice. So, and I could drink the green juice. And he said it was okay if I had fish, but I was already done with the fish. So anyway, before I went to him, I had went to, I was going to say Whole Paycheck, but Whole Foods, and got me like the fresh bread with the fruits and nuts, and they slice it for you. And when I got back in the truck, first I was annoyed because I was like, I didn't come here for my diet. I wanted to know why my behind's acting crazy. Man, so I just thought he took my $150. And anyway, I looked at that, and I was not throwing that bread away. So I don't care what he said about that, wasn't going. So that was grains and fruits and nuts. Also, that's like the worst of food combining. So anyway, I hadn't talked to my son's mom in months. It was volatile, and I just made peace. It was like 3 months actually. And anyway, he said, "Don't do that." And the next day, I had made fruit juice, like he said, don't make, and the bread. And I was eating that all day, getting my rush. And then when I was done, I went into a depression. I called my son's mom up. I was cursing her out bad, horrible. And then I was crying after that. And my buddy Sheldon was going to come down from New York. He was so worried about me. And all of this was going on. And in the process, I went to Gary Knowles. I went to Vitamin Shop, and Gary Knowles had a protein bar I used to like. And I had the protein bar, and I had that. And within 3 minutes, I stopped crying. My blood sugar was level. And my friend Sheldon said, I'm getting ready to get in the car now. I'm like, for what? What are you talking about? And then that's the first time I realized really how the food can impact me. And I stayed with that protocol. And prior to that protocol, I slept 8 hours a day. And then I got up, and took a nap. And within 3 days, I was getting up at 4 a.m. without an alarm clock and awake all day to 10:30. And it's been that way since then. So it works.
Thank you. So, Mark, we have about 3 minutes remaining. What closing words of wisdom? The whole conversation that you shared with the audience has been full of wisdom. But what would you like the audience to leave away with tonight, based on what you shared with us this evening? What 1 or 2 bullet points?
Okay, I'd say the most important is that our body is capable of providing us with health and vitality for our entire life. Our job is to nourish it properly and stay out the way and not put things in. And also to remember drugs, surgeries, herbs, none of them will heal the body. The only thing that heals the body is the body. So how do we nourish it in a way that doesn't interfere with how it works? It works. You can cut your arm and you can put aloe vera, you can put vasodilation ointment, you can put shea butter. The only thing that heals the body is the body. The body's going to grow new skin. So believe in your body and listen to your body. So I think those are the most important things. And you will be led to what's your path for health.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so very, very much. Is he gone? We say ask him will he come back again, and we know he will. But
yeah, he can be up on the screen with us. I know we didn't have
thank you. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate your having me. This is
this was great. We're gonna, we'll invite you back again at some point, and we may have you with somebody else. So there's like a contrast of ideas and viewpoints or something, to make it interesting. Not that it wasn't interesting.
Coconuts too.
That's powerful. I love the fresh coconut. In Jamaica, they say water coconut. So it's like
and Tanzania, maji mudafu.
Okay, same thing. Very, very cool.
Yeah, well, I was the cocoa.
This was good. I want to always give a shout out to our producers, the Go Giga team. Toya and Janet are wonderful. Thank you so much for all that you do for us. And Mark, you're thebomb.com. So thank you. Thanks so much. Even with your bald head, which I think looks wonderful.
I'm gonna do it for a little while.
Looks great. Work it. So thanks again, and thanks to all of our listeners and audience. And the show is recorded so people can see it again on YouTube. I don't think you can see it again on Facebook Live or LinkedIn Live, but you can see it on YouTube. So share it widely with your friends and family. Wonderful information, definitely worth sharing.
Who's our guest next week, Imani?
Who's our guest next week? Next week we're going to have Jean Young, who is a natural farmer. She's a good friend. She used to volunteer with my teen theater group years ago, and she came by for a little birthday party. Hey, I was born right around midnight between the 11th and the 12th, so happy birthday to me. But Jean is gonna be with us next week, and that, Mark, you're gonna love that show. I hope all your folks come.
I'm gonna. You said farming, so I'm on there. So
natural farming. She loaded a whole bunch of her natural produce here, in my kitchen. So we're excited about having her on with us next week. That's gonna be great. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good evening. Take care. Peace and blessings.